So welcome back, everyone. We are in full swing on day two here. Of course, yesterday we opened up with just opening up to new possibilities, new perspectives. This idea that we really can recreate a new identity for ourselves, a new personality and therefore a new personal reality. And now we're in full swing in day two, and we're really going into activating and optimizing the mind, body, spirit aspects of the self. And how do we do that? Well, it's taking disciplined practice, showing up for ourselves day in and day out, and doing things like our meditation, eating well, movement, tuning into our emotions, and if we do that on a continuous basis, then we can get to step three, day three, tomorrow, and that's really um, becoming the embodiment of that new version of ourselves, that new identity that we began to open up to yesterday. So with that, I'm super excited to introduce a dear brother, a mentor of mine. He's a men's coach. He's a financial advisor. I met this man in Tulum, Mexico, and we've become dear brothers ever since. And I'm super excited to introduce you, Solay Rad. So welcome, Solay.
Thank you, Lee.
And Soleil's going to be talking about how to heal our money traumas and actually recalibrate our relationship with money. So I'm really excited to learn about this topic. Money's kind of been uh, something that I've been opening up to welcoming and really healing. My relationship with it. So I'm really stoked to hear your perspective on this and for you to share all the wisdom that you have around this area.
Thank you, Lee. Lee, for 17 years, I've been a financial advisor and I've been obsessed with how wealth is created. Why is it that some people can make money with not a lot of problems? Sometimes they lose it, but they can make it back over and over again. And then there's other people that no matter what, they can't make money. And the few times where they make it, they can't hold on to it. So I've been very obsessed with learning about this. And over the last 5 years, I've been teaching a technology that most people have never heard about, and it's all around money traumas. So I'm going to open that up for the audience and give them some nuggets and some tips that they can use immediately to really get a better perception of what's happening underneath the hood of their financial vehicle. So most of you have heard about the money mindset, right? When we go on YouTube, we look at Instagram, there's all this talk about money mindset. Don't give up, keep going, start multiple businesses, open a side hustle. We've all heard that. Why isn't it that everybody who hears that can just suddenly become a multimillionaire? We all have the mindset, we all know we can do it, but oftentimes, no matter how much we know we can do it, there's something that pulls us back. This is called financial traumas, money traumas. And most teachers, most speakers talk only about the money mindset and they forget the emotions associated with money. See if this resonates with you. When you were growing up, how was your parents' relationship with money? How was their emotional relationship with money? If we were to look at the field of emotionality, not your mind, not whether you think you can do something or not, but the emotions that are associated with doing something. When your father was talking about money or dealing with money, what emotions do you think he was operating from? Was it joy, happiness, gratitude, love, and excitement? Or was your father's relationship with money based on sadness, scared, shame, shy, jealousy, or anger? And chances are that whatever your parents' emotional relationship was with wealth, you inherited some of it as well. So for myself, when I was growing up, I was an immigrant, and my mom and dad constantly told me, save money, don't spend money, conceal it, hide it, don't show it. Even if you make it, don't show it, don't talk about it. And as I started to do this work on myself to heal my money traumas, I started remembering, wow, my mom and dad were coming from an emotional place of scared, sad, and anger when it came to money. My mom used to always talk about how angry she was around how money had damaged her and how her parents had no money and how it really impacted her youth. So when we start to identify the underlying emotions associated with money, which is something nobody talks about, we can then start to heal them. Because no matter how much you want to make money, no matter how much you can see yourself making money, if you have emotional harm associated with money, called money trauma, then your proximity, your closeness to money starts to become distanced. The example I give is imagine that you, as a man, are in a relationship with a woman and you live in the same home and you love each other, but you have anger towards her. How close would you two get if you have an underlying emotion of anger towards your spouse? And if you never talk about your anger, if you never open up your anger and you're constantly in your head about this relationship's going to work, I'm going to meditate, I'm going to medicate, I'm going to do affirmations, I am rich, I am successful. Does that make sense, Lee?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's such a powerful, we talk about the emotionality for every other area of life, and money is just an energy, like so many other things that are in our lives as well. So it only makes sense to be able to go into the underlying emotions around it.
Yeah, exactly. And so when you start to identify the emotions that you hold around money, you can then actually heal them and create a closer proximity to money. Look, this doesn't mean that suddenly you're going to become a multimillionaire when you heal your money traumas. But what it means is that your connection with wealth will be based on ease and grace instead of hard work and hustle and don't give up.
Mm.
So the analogy that I make is imagine that money is an entity. It's not just paper, it's an entity, kind of like your boyfriend or your girlfriend. They're an entity. And if you have emotions of resentment, anger, shame, scared with this entity, how close will you be with it? No matter how much you want it. Kind of like a love hate relationship, right? I love you, but I hate you for not being in my life. I love you, I need you, but I'm scared of you because you hurt me when I was younger. And so, as we start to look at the emotions, which we'll do during this incredible 3 day summit, where each person will have an opportunity to understand what emotions are present for them when it comes to money and why, and then go through the healing process to reconvene with the emotion of love, joy, happiness, and gratitude around money. What you'll start to notice is very quickly your relationship with money will start to be healed. And you don't need all this mindset, mentality, motivation, videotapes, audio. You don't need all that. Just the same way as if you're in a relationship with someone and when you go through therapy and you talk about your emotions, your differences, and you forgive each other, then you get to hug and embrace. And that's exactly what we're going to do at the Unleash Yourself Summit, which I hope you join.
That's beautiful. So what are maybe one or two steps that someone could take to actually begin to look at those and identify and unpack those underlying emotions?
Yeah, so we teach this technology at Men of Means, which is a community of really incredible men who are doing amazing work on themselves and on the world. And the first thing we teach men and anybody else who wants to learn is the 11 emotions. And we talk about the 11 emotions because so many times when you ask somebody how they're feeling, they speak in words that have no relevance to emotions. You ask somebody, how are you feeling? They say, good. Good is not an emotion. What's the emotion? Are you scared? Are you happy? Are you angry? Are you shy? Right? So there's 11 emotions that we're going to teach about during this summit. And when people start to identify what emotions are present for them, and sometimes there's more than one or two emotions present when you start listening and identifying. And once you start understanding the emotions that are present for you, then you can analyze them with respect to all things in your life. How do I feel when I receive money from a client? What's the emotion that comes up for me? Is there a little scared when I ask somebody for money? Interesting. Is there a little bit of anger when I have to pay somebody? Is there a little bit of emotion of resentment that I have to give somebody money? There's a place of healing. And so essentially, what we do is we start to take inventory of all of the different ways in which we behave with money. And when we start to identify the emotions that we carry underneath all of these transactions, we can then start to bring them to surface, talk about them, heal them, and never have to challenge ourselves with them again. So the example I give is if you check in with your emotions and you genuinely feel scared when asking somebody for $100,000 check, when you feel scared for asking somebody for a $100,000 check, there's no mindset that's going to heal that emotion. And so as you start to heal the emotion of fear around a $100,000 frequency, guess what? You're going to be able to ask people for $100,000 and they're going to feel comfortable and confident in paying it to you. And this is what's a challenge with a lot of coaches I see on Instagram and everywhere else. They're just motivating people to push against a wall regardless of honoring their own emotions. And when we do that, you've seen that, Lee, when somebody approaches you and asks you for a large sum of money and they're not feeling very strong and emotionally aware and connected to themselves, you can tell that there's something wrong. And you start to have doubt in paying them, right? And the same for us. When you have to give somebody else a $100,000 check, and then you notice, oh man, I feel scared. Oh, I feel shame. Wow, I didn't realize I feel shame to pay people. That's an opportunity for you to start healing. And this is where we're going to start in our 3-day summit to give people all the tools they need with quick ease and grace so they can go out there and land those $100,000 clients, land those $200,000 clients, because it's very possible and it doesn't have to be painful and it doesn't have to be all based on hard work and motivation and inspiration. When you are in tune with your emotions, things happen with ease and grace. So I look forward to having you all there and teaching this material to you.
I love that, Solay. And I often look at the body as a roadmap. Our bodies are so intelligent. It's not just up here. It's the cellular machinery within, and that's where we can really tune into the feelings. So what would you share with our audience in terms of if nobody's really used to practicing, like, okay, what am I actually feeling right now? You know, how would somebody begin to tune into that and just sit with those feelings within the body and help them to uncover all of the wisdom that is really stored within the cells, within the emotions.
Yeah. Well, Lee, I know you've been doing this work for quite some time. And this is one of the reasons I love creating business and impact with you, because you are such a heart-centered, high-conscious person. You're not just operating from the field of like woo-woo and spirituality, because that's what a lot of people see on TV and they get turned off. They're like, what are you talking about? I got problems at home. I can't just sit and meditate my way out of it. Right.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
when you add that emotional field, how did that impact you when you started to connect the consciousness to the emotionality? How did that impact you?
I mean, really, it's changed everything. It's just allowed me to open up communication lines so much more fully. It's allowed me to connect more fully with anybody that I'm actually communicating with. So it's really deepened my relationships, my connections. And again, just allowed me to tune in at any given moment to not be paralyzed by the fear or the anger or the sadness, but to be able to really sit with it and even begin to recalibrate my nervous system and what I've found is as I'm able to sit with those emotions, it's like it comes forward, to be released. So it's no longer got a grip on me, so that the next time I'm not as triggered. I'm not as emotional about, whatever the thing outside of me that was happening to make me feel, or, to imagine what made me feel that way. But it was just the trigger that took me back to, the first time that I felt that anger that I didn't allow myself to continue to feel and ended up storing in the body.
Exactly. You know, as men, for hundreds of years, we've been told not to feel our emotions. For hundreds of years, we've gone to war and we were told that in war, you don't connect with your emotions, just kill. And so that type of survival culture has now become infused in many of our families. Think about our fathers. How many of your fathers sit and cry openly? How many of your fathers talk about how sad they are or how much shame they feel in any given moment, right? So, very few men have been taught the importance and the methodology to identify and tune into their emotions. And there are 11 emotions that we talk about. If you're listening to this, please write this down. 11 emotions: gratitude, love, joy, happy, excited, scared, sad, shy, shame, angry, and jealousy. And all of these 11 emotions are available for us to tune into. And most people, when these emotions come, they're like, whoop, no, not me. I have to always be happy, right? So when we give ourselves permission, especially as men, to say, no, in this moment, I'm a little sad, a little scared, and a little excited. What that
Mm.
does for us is it starts to give us the guidelines of what is happening around us, and we're able to better maneuver ourselves through circumstances by honoring what's happening inside instead of overriding it.
Mm.
So many people regret most of their lives because they've betrayed themselves and overridden their true emotions. Especially if you're somebody, man or woman, who's been taught not to really connect with your feelings because it was taboo at home. What starts to happen is you start behaving in ways to please other people instead of pleasing and honoring your own emotions. And in that transaction of pleasing others over yourself, it's called self betrayal. And when we betray ourselves, the amount of damage it causes us and all of our family members, including our finances, is so, so great. So here we are at this summit where we're going to teach you how to not betray yourself, how to connect with yourself authentically and easily, not in some woo woo spiritual way, and to use this connection with yourself to make choices about what benefits you and your family.
I love this, Elaine. I often share with my clients to, if we can remove this idea of self-sacrifice and continue to show up for ourselves first, first and foremost, and whether you want to use the analogy of the plane going down and trying to put oxygen masks on everybody else first, or pouring from an empty cup, it doesn't really matter. But it's like, if we can show up first and foremost for ourselves, then we can come with that full cup and we can show up for each other more fully. And that's what I love about this work. I would love for you to share just anything else that kind of comes forward for you, that you want to leave our guests with, today on this topic.
Absolutely. I'm very, very honored to be a part of this incredible summit. I know Lee pulls some of the most talented people from around the world, people that I learned from, people that I have taught to, and we are really coming together to support this new way of living. We see it on TV. Most people are miserable. Most rich people are still miserable. So, is there a way out of this rat race that doesn't have to be so difficult? It takes us out of the grind of having to suffer just to get to a point where we retire. Look at our fathers, look at our mothers. They work 40 years, 40-hour work weeks. They save for their 401k, and then to try to enjoy a 10 or 15-year retirement, which most of them are miserable and don't enjoy. So being a part of this collective, being a part of this connection that we are creating and providing for you is one of the biggest blessings that you may ever have in your life. And what I would say to you is the keys are in your hands. If you hear some information and you're like, oh shit, I never heard that before, that's an opportunity for you to chase the person down and say, hey, listen, I want to learn from you. I don't want to be in this rat race anymore. What can you do to help me? And almost all the people that come to workshops and seminars and summits like this are people who are looking to support others. So please don't feel scared or ashamed to ask for your needs, to feel supported, because we know as people that are going through this process with you that the more we can support you, the more we learn and the more we can ask you for support. So join
Mm.
us on this incredible summit. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to heal a lot. You're going to grow a lot. And I look forward to seeing you there. And I'm so excited to be a part of it.
So beautiful, Soleil. I just have one last question, and then I want you to tell us how we can find you. But what does peak performance mean to you?
For me, peak performance isn't all about being on at all times. I have a little bit of a contrarian definition of it because I imagine that when we talk about peak performance, people think that they have to be full on all the time. And we know with anything else, like race cars, there's race cars who've been finely tuned and can go super fast speeds, but they don't go super fast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, right?
Mhm.
So peak performance is all about fine tuning yourself, looking for shadows, areas that need repair and repositioning, getting your engine in a straight line called your life's purpose,
Mm.
and then being able to take strong action towards your goals that don't exhaust you. And strong action doesn't mean you work 24 hours a day. Peak performance doesn't mean that you're constantly going at 100% level. It means that you choose your targets carefully and you penetrate them with purposefulness instead of with a buckshot shotgun approach.
Mm. I love that definition. I've had 30 people speaking at this summit, and we've got 30 different definitions of peak performance, and I really love that one, Soleil. So, thank you so much for. I know how busy you are, and all the amazing things that you're up to in the world, and how you're supporting so many men, and with your coaching and everything like that. So it's such an honor for me to have you here. I feel so grateful to have you as a brother, and a speaker here. And how can people get a hold of you? How can they connect with you? Just share a little bit about what you're up to in the world, and how people can get in touch.
Yeah, I am the founder of Men of Means. We are a tribe of modern men from around the world who value spiritual connection, sexual integrity, financial security, and emotional freedom. So if this information speaks to you, find us online, menofmeans.org, or find me on Instagram under my name, Solay Rad, and just get in touch personally. There's always space for men who really want to get to the next level of financial, emotional, and spiritual success. And we're looking for guys that are either peak performers, guys who have something to contribute to our community, or guys who just want some help because they know that they have the ambition and the capability to make a high impact in their own lives, in the lives of their family, and in the lives of humanity. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to support you and to be supported by you, Lee. I'm so grateful for what you're creating. I can't wait to see everybody there at this incredible 3-day summit.